1 month after my daughter's wedding, the photographer called me and whispered, "Sir, I noticed something terrible in the photos. Come immediately alone and don't say anything to your daughter. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments." The phone rang just as I sat down my coffee. Tuesday morning, quiet house. Financial report spread across my desk. The kind of peaceful moment I'd earned after 40 years building Reynolds hardware. 3 stores across Phoenix. Good business. Good life. I almost didn't answer the unknown number. "Mr. Reynolds." The woman's voice trembled. "This is Carolyn Thornan. I photographed Jack Will's wedding last month. I need to see you immediately alone. Please don't tell your daughter." My hand tightened on the phone. "What's wrong? I can't explain over the phone. But I found something in the photographs. Something very serious. The air in my office changed. Became thinner somehow." "What kind of something?" "Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, my studio downtown. Please, Mr. Reynolds, come alone." Before I could respond, Wendy's voice exploded from the kitchen. "Ben, I told you 3 times already. I need that car. My Honda is embarrassing. You promised you'd ask him today." Benjamin's laugh rumbled from the living room, some television show blaring beneath it. "I'll be there," I said into the phone, barely hearing my own voice. Carolyn exhaled. "Thank you. I'm so sorry. Mr. Reynolds, I really am." She hung up. I sat motionless at my desk, the phone still pressed to my ear, staring at the framed photograph on my wall. Jacqueline in her wedding dress, radiant. Samuel beside her in his tuxedo. 1 month ago, $65,000 I'd spent on that day. Worth every penny to see my eldest daughter happy. Something very serious in the photographs. "Dad." Wendy appeared in my doorway, phone in one hand, car keys in the other. "Did you hear me? I need money for a new car. The Honda is 7 years old, and it's humiliating." I looked at my youngest daughter, 31 years old, living in my house for 4 years now, temporarily. She'd said when she moved in after her divorce. Benjamin had followed 6 months later. "No rent, no end date. We'll talk about it later." "Sweetheart, later. I need to go to the dealership this week. Melissa got a new Lexus, and I can't keep showing up in that piece of junk." I turned back to my computer screen. The numbers blurred. "Dad, are you listening?" "Later, Wendy." She huffed and disappeared. Her footsteps stomped up the stairs. A door slammed. I picked up my coffee, cold now, through my office window. The Paradise Valley morning stretched bright and cloudless. July heat already building. Everything looked normal. Felt wrong. The day crawled forward. I tried focusing on inventory reports, quarterly projections, payroll schedules. My mind kept circling back to Caroline's trembling voice. The wedding had been perfect, hadn't it? Jacqueline had glowed. Samuel had been attentive. The ceremony at the Botanical Gardens. Reception at that upscale resort. Everything elegant, tasteful, expensive. What could possibly be wrong with the photographs? Around noon, Benjamin wandered into my office without knocking. Never knocked, just walked in like he owned the place. "Hey, Pops, Wendy says you're being weird about the car thing." I didn't look up from my computer. I said we'd discuss it later. "Yeah, but she's pretty set on it. Maybe just give her the money. Keep the peace." He leaned against my doorframe, arms crossed. 38 years old. No job. Living off my daughter's allowance, which meant living off me. Benjamin, I'm working. Sure, sure. Just saying. Happy wife, happy life, right? He grinned and left. Happy wife. He'd never married Wendy. 4 years together, living in my house, and he couldn't be bothered to make it official, but he had opinions about how I should spend my money. I stood and walked to my window. Below, my pool sparkled unused. The guest house where Wendy and Benjamin stayed sat at the far edge of the property. Separate entrance, full kitchen, 2 bedrooms. I'd had it built, thinking visiting grandchildren might use it someday. No grandchildren, just Wendy and Benjamin. The afternoon bled into evening. I heated leftover pasta, ate alone at my kitchen counter while Benjamin occupied my living room, and Wendy video called someone upstairs, her laugh piercing through the ceiling. At 7:30, my doorbell rang. Jacqueline stood on my front step, perfect as always, tailored blazer, designer jeans, that smile she'd inherited from her mother. My eldest, my successful one, marketing executive, beautiful home, well, apartment currently married to Samuel Pfizer, investment banker. Hi, Daddy. She kissed my cheek and walked past me into the house. I was in the neighborhood, thought I'd stop by. Paradise Valley to her place in Scottsdale wasn't the neighborhood, but I didn't mention it. She settled onto my couch, crossed her legs, looked around the living room like she was appraising it. How are you? You look tired. Long day. Business things. M. She picked up a framed photo from my side table, her and Wendy as children, studied it, set it back down slightly off center. Samuel and I have been house hunting. We found the most incredible place in Scottsdale. 4 bedrooms, pool, mountain views, absolutely perfect. I sat in the chair across from her, waited. The thing is, we need to move fast. Market's competitive right now. We need help with the down payment. She smiled warmly. 40,000. You understand, right? After everything you spent on the wedding, this is just completing the picture, helping us start our life together properly. $40,000, said like she was asking to borrow my truck. Something in my chest tightened. That hollow feeling from earlier expanded. 40,000, I repeated. Is that a problem? A slight edge entered her voice. So slight, most people wouldn't catch it. Dad, we need to move fast. The market is competitive. I thought you'd want to help us start our life together properly. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. The designer clothes, the manicured nails, the practiced warmth that didn't quite reach her eyes. Let me think about it, sweetheart. Her smile faltered just for a second. Think about it. Dad, this is important. Samuel and I need to review some things first. She stood abruptly. Fine, but don't take too long. We can't lose this house. She grabbed her purse, kissed my cheek again, colder this time. Love you, Daddy. Call me soon. I watched her Mercedes pull away, standing in my doorway. $40,000 delivered like I'd already agreed, like my money was her money. Benjamin's laughter echoed from the living room, sports highlights on my television, his beer bottle sweating onto my coffee table. I walked back inside, but something had shifted. The house felt different, or maybe I was seeing it clearly for the first time. My phone sat on the hall table where I had left it. Caroline's number still in the call log. Tomorrow morning. Her studio. Whatever she'd found on those wedding photographs. I had a feeling it would explain this hollow sensation spreading through my chest. I picked up the phone and looked at Jacqueline's last text. Thanks for understanding about the house. Dad, love you. I hadn't agreed to anything, but she'd assumed. They all assumed. I left the house before Wendy woke up. Didn't want questions. Didn't want Benjamin asking where I was going with that look he got. Like everything I did required his approval in my own home. The drive to downtown Phoenix took 25 minutes. Tuesday morning traffic. I-51 South. Then surface streets to Carolyn's studio. A converted warehouse in the Arts District. Her name on a brass plate beside the door. My hands were steady on the steering wheel, but my mind kept replaying her voice on the phone. Something very serious. I parked across the street, sat in the truck for a moment. Whatever was inside that studio, whatever Caroline had found, it would explain Jaylene's casual request for $40,000. It would explain the hollow feeling I'd carried since the wedding. I knew it would. I just didn't want to know how. The studio smelled like coffee and printer ink. Professional photographs lined the walls. Weddings, families, corporate headshot. Carolyn met me at the door. Younger than I'd remembered from the wedding day. Mid-40s maybe. Nervous hands. Apologetic eyes. Mr. Reynolds, thank you for coming. She locked the door behind me. I have everything set up in the editing room. I followed her through the gallery space to a smaller room dominated by a large monitor and computer equipment. Wedding portfolios stacked on shelves. The window overlooked an alley. Morning light filtered through dusty glass. Can I get you coffee? Water? I'm fine. I wasn't fine. Please, just show me. She nodded and sat at her computer. I remained standing behind her chair. Mr. Reynolds, I almost didn't call you. I went back and forth for days. But if I were in your position, I'd want to know, please understand. I didn't go looking for this. My throat tightened. Show me. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. The monitor filled with images from Jacqueline's wedding. The ceremony. My daughter walking down the aisle. Samuel waiting at the altar. Guests smiling. Everything beautiful. Everything perfect. These are the standard shots, Carolyn said softly. What you saw at the wedding. What everyone saw. She clicked to the next folder. 2 hours before the ceremony. I was at the restaurant venue early, testing exposures, calibrating equipment. There's a terrace overlooking the courtyard. Another click. I was shooting through a window, adjusting light settings. The image appeared. My hands gripped the back of her chair. Samuel, my son-in-law, in his tuxedo, not yet buttoned properly, pressed against a woman with red hair. Not my daughter, kissing her. His hands in her hair, her arms around his neck. Not a friendly embrace. Not a goodbye to an old friend. Intimate, possessive, familiar. How long before the ceremony? My voice sounded far away. You're certain about the time? 2 hours before. The metadata is here. Date, time, GPS coordinates. She pulled up a technical display. Numbers, timestamps, location data. I was at the restaurant venue early, testing exposures through a window. I captured this by accident, but it's real. And there are multiple shots. She clicked forward. Different angles, same scene. Samuel and the red-haired woman locked together. In one photo, the woman's hand was visible, left hand pressed against Samuel's chest. Wedding ring, gold band, diamond, the woman. I leaned closer to the screen. The wedding ring. Do you know who she is? Carolyn shook her head. I don't recognize her from the guest list. I'm so sorry, Mr. Reynolds. She pulled up another image. This one showed Samuel's face clearly. No confusion in his expression. No drunken stumble. Just confidence. Control. A man who knew exactly what he was doing. 2 hours before marrying my daughter. I straightened slowly. My knees felt weak. The room tilted slightly, then righted itself. Can you prove the timing? Absolutely. Prove it. Yes. Caroline opened another window, showed me technical data I barely understood. Digital fingerprints, file information, GPS coordinates, matching the restaurant location, timestamps down to the second. This is forensic level evidence. Mr. Reynolds. It would hold up anywhere. She reached into her desk drawer and pulled out a small flash drive. Everything is here. All the photos, all the metadata, technical documentation. I made copies. She held it out to me. I don't know what you'll do with this information, but I believe you should have it. I took the flash drive, closed my fist around it. Don't apologize, I said. You did the right thing. The drive back to Paradise Valley passed in a blur. I gripped the steering wheel tight, stared at the road, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. Samuel Pfizer, investment banker, polished, articulate, successful, everything I'd wanted for my daughter. Kissing another woman 2 hours before their wedding. A woman wearing a wedding ring. Not a mistake. Not cold feet. Calculated. Deliberate. Why marry Shquelen at all? The question circled my thoughts like a vulture. Why go through with a $65,000 wedding to a woman you were betraying hours before the ceremony? Why make those vows? Why smile in those photos? What was the point? My truck knew the way home without my thinking. Paradise Valley streets. My neighborhood. My driveway. The flash drive sat in my pocket, heavy as a stone. I pulled into my driveway just after 11. The house looked the same as when I'd left 2 hours ago. Same desert landscaping, same security light that needed fixing, same everything. But I wasn't the same. I opened the front door. Benjamin sprawled across my leather recliner, beer in hand, some game show blaring. He didn't look up. Hey, old man, grab me another beer while you're up. From upstairs, Wendy's voice. Dad, is that you? I need to talk to you about money for the spa this weekend. I stood in my own entryway, flash drive in my pocket, and something inside me that had been bending for years finally snapped. My daughter's husband cheating 2 hours before the wedding. My other daughter living in my house, demanding spa money. My son-in-law ordering me to bring him beer in my chair in my house. I closed the door behind me with a quiet click. They thought I was the same man who'd left this morning. They were wrong. Sleep was impossible. I sat in my office past midnight, the flash drive from Carolyn on the desk beside my laptop. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those photographs. Samuel's face, confident, not guilty, not confused, confident. I opened my laptop and pulled up the wedding budget spreadsheet. $65,000 I'd spent. Venue, catering, photographer, flowers, band, everything wanted. But she'd insisted on one thing specifically: cash gifts. No registry, no toasters or china patterns. Dad, we're starting fresh. We need flexibility. Cash is more practical. I'd thought she was being mature, practical. Now I wondered what I'd actually paid for. I grabbed a legal pad and started writing numbers, dates, details that suddenly seemed wrong. The guest list had been 200 people, mostly my business associates, my friends, people who had known Jaylene since childhood, each envelope at the reception. I remembered the gift table overflowing. Jacqueline had hired someone specifically to collect them, count them, catalog them, $45,000 in cash and checks. She'd told me the total the week after the wedding, laughing about their good fortune. Samuel and I are so blessed. Dad, everyone was so generous. I wrote that number down, circled it, then I remembered something else. My business partner, Marcus Chen, had handed Samuel a check directly at the reception. Welcome to the family. Son, start your life right. I'd been standing there. $15,000. Marcus was wealthy, generous to people he respected. Samuel had pocketed that check and smiled. Thank you, sir. We won't forget this. $60,000 total from one wedding for a couple supposedly starting out. Why marry Jacqueline at all? I stared at that question on my legal pad. If Samuel had another woman, a woman wearing a wedding ring, why go through with a $65,000 ceremony? Why smile in those photos? Why take those vows? Unless the vows didn't matter. Unless the money did. My stomach turned. The night dragged on. I made coffee around 3 o'clock in the morning, stood at my kitchen window, watching the dark desert hills. Somewhere in Scottsdale, Jacqueline slept beside the man who'd betrayed her hours before their wedding. Or maybe she knew. Maybe she didn't care. That thought was worse than the first. At 7, I showered and dressed. Business casual, khakis, polo shirt. Left the house before Wendy woke up. Didn't want questions. Didn't want to see Benjamin sprawled on my couch. The bank opened at 9. I drove to the downtown Phoenix branch where I did my business banking. Professional territory, safe ground. The manager, Patricia Williams, greeted me in her office. We'd worked together for 15 years. Mr. Reynolds, what brings you in this morning? I wanted to verify a check I wrote. Wedding gift for my daughter, $20,000. Want to make sure it cleared properly. Patricia pulled it up on her computer. Let me see. Yes, here it is. Joint account for Samuel and Jack and Fisher. Check cleared without issues. Joint account. I said casually. When did they open that? Patricia scrolled. Looks like 2 months ago. May 10th. 2 months before the wedding. Not years. Not when they got engaged. 2 months. They must have moved fast on wedding planning. I said, keeping my voice light. Young people these days. Patricia smiled. Everything happens quickly. I thanked her and left. In my truck. I sat with the engine running May 10th. They had opened a joint account specifically to receive wedding money. Planned it, coordinated it. This wasn't romance. This was logistics. I drove home through late morning traffic, mind churning. The house looked quiet when I pulled into the garage. Benjamin's car was there. Old Camry he refused to maintain, always asking for money to fix it. I entered through the garage door to the kitchen, planned to go straight to my office. Then I heard Wendy's voice from upstairs. Yeah, Dad looks suspicious lately. Her voice carried down from the second floor landing. Phone conversation, volume too loud. The way she always talked, I don't know, different somehow. But don't worry, sis. Ben and I can stretch this another 6 months easy. By then, he'll cave and buy us that condo just to get rid of us. I froze in the hallway. Jacqueline's voice came through the phone speaker. Wendy had it on high volume, laughing. Perfect. I've got 2 more months of playing happy wife. Then I file. Half those gifts are legally mine in Arizona. Samuel already agreed to 60-40 split. Easiest 45,000 I ever made. My hand found the wall, steadied myself. Wendy laughed. And Sam's little girlfriend doesn't even know about the plan. This is perfect. Dad's so busy feeling proud of your marriage. He doesn't see anything. Keep him distracted, Jaqueline said. Make him think you need something big. That way, when I ask for the house down payment, it won't seem excessive by comparison. Already on it. Asked him for a new car yesterday. He looked annoyed, but he'll come around. He always does. I backed away, silent, careful, each step measured until I reached my office, closed the door, leaned against it. My hands were shaking. 2 daughters, both lying, both using me. One planning divorce to steal wedding money. The other squatting in my house. Running out the clock until I bought them off. Playing happy wife. Easiest 45,000 I ever made. I'd almost let it happen. Almost written Jacqueline that $40,000 check for her house down payment. Almost. I sat down at my computer, typed property lawyer, Phoenix, Arizona. Robert McKenzie's name appeared third in the search results. 25 years experience, real estate law, family trusts, asset protection. His office had an opening tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I made the appointment. Then I sat back in my chair and looked at my closed office door. Beyond it, Wendy was probably still on the phone. Benjamin was probably still planted on my couch. Both comfortable, both confident. They had no idea what was coming. I didn't either. Not exactly. But tomorrow I'd start finding out. Tomorrow I became something other than a wallet with a heartbeat. Mackenzie's office was in a glass building downtown, 23rd floor. I arrived 10 minutes early and spent them in the parking garage organizing my folder one last time. Wedding spreadsheet, flash drive from Carolyn, my notes from last night, 3 pages of timelines, quotes, dollar amounts, evidence. The elevator ride up felt longer than it was. I'd made business decisions for 40 years, negotiated supplier contracts, handled employee disputes, weathered economic downturns. This shouldn't feel different, but it did. This was my family, my daughters. The elevator doors opened. No, not family, not anymore. They'd made that choice when they turned me into a transaction. The reception area was professional, glass desk, leather chairs, abstract art I didn't understand but recognized as expensive. A woman looked up from her computer. Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Mackenzie is ready for you. His office had floor, 2 ceiling windows overlooking Phoenix. Mahogany desk. Law books lining one wall. Diplomas and bar certificates in frames. Robert Mackenzie stood as I entered. 50s. Gray at the temples. Firm handshake. Mr. Reynolds. Please have a seat. Can I offer you coffee? Yes. Black. He poured from a carafe on the credenza, handed me a ceramic mug, settled behind his desk. I reviewed your intake form. You mentioned property issues and family matters. Tell me what's happening. Start wherever makes sense to you. I placed my manila folder on his desk, opened it methodically. A month ago, I paid for my daughter's wedding, $65,000, 3 days ago. The photographer showed me pictures of my son-in-law with another woman 2 hours before the ceremony. Yesterday, I discovered my daughters planned this. The marriage was a scam to collect cash gifts and split them. Mackenzie's pen paused over his legal pad. When you say, plan this, you have evidence both your daughter and her husband intended to divorce from the beginning. I overheard my younger daughter on the phone with her sister. Quote, 2 more months and I file for divorce. Half the gifts are legally mine. Samuel already agreed to 60-40. Those were my daughter's exact words. I slid the flash drive across his desk. The affair photos are here, metadata included, timestamps, GPS coordinates, everything. Mackenzie inserted the drive into his computer, clicked through files. His expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened slightly. And your younger daughter, Wendy? She's been living in my house for 4 years. Her boyfriend with her.